Did you know? School Sport Victoria offers 650,000 sporting opportunities in 31 different sports at 10,700 events across the state every single year. That's a lot of kids playing sport. And for over 25 years, the Victorian School Sports Awards have recognised more than 1,500 students, teachers and volunteers for excellence and outstanding contribution to school sport. Now that's a champion effort.
Good morning and welcome to the Ask SSV show. We've got a very special guest here in Aiden Hinson. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks. Yourself, how you going?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. Thanks for asking. Not many do when they come on the show. I've been looking forward to this show for a while, and I think it's because I know you so well, but more importantly, I've seen you grow up from an itty-bitty 10-year-old and really take off to where you are now. I think you're 17 now, is that right?
Yeah, 17 in June.
Excellent. We've got such a jam-packed show. We've got a whole bunch of athletes students that are wanting to join the show and ask you questions of themselves, which is great. And we're going to hear from your coach a little bit later on too. But you're a triple jumper and an elite triple jumper, and that didn't come. We'll get to how you got to that stage later. But you've had so many amazing national titles, but also international as well, with the 2019 Oceania Championships, where you went across to, where was that held?
That was in Townsville.
Townsville, that's right. And there was basically an area Oceania, and you jumped a 15.16 there, which was phenomenal. That was a PB by a long way, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was around 48 centimetres PB, so I was pretty stoked when I did it.
Amazing, amazing stuff. But just scaling it back a bit, in 2019, you went to the Australian All Schools Championships, which was held in Cairns. It was the first time in a long time that actually got rained out and they cancelled the competition on some, but your competition did go ahead for most of it. You jumped to 14.55. Now, that in the scheme of things now is not as big, but back then, you actually got a record that had been standing since 1988 by Craig Ferber. How did that feel?
Oh, and it was pretty crazy. Like, the adrenaline rush was definitely there, and not knowing how it would perform going into the comp, obviously because the weather wasn't very good for the competition. The jump felt amazing, and I had jumped a better jump, but unfortunately the wind was a bit too strong. I was lucky to get it on my last jump, which was just great.
You tend to do that though in your competitions. I've seen you clutch jump where you do well, but it's a last jump, and I've got to say it's probably not good for your coach's heart rate. But you certainly do leave it to the last minute, and it makes for a very exciting comp. But just coming back again, you've come through Team Vic. You've made Team Vic quite often. I think I'm not sure what year your first year was. I think your last year at Team Vic was 2016. I think.
Yeah.
But in 2015, people don't realise this, that you actually were like one of the coolest kids in school, because you actually won the car that was being raffled. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was crazy. I remember walking around the neighbourhood selling tickets to my neighbours, and then all of a sudden get an email or call and say we won the car. So that was a pretty crazy experience.
You were probably the coolest 11-year-old at school without a license. But that was a Suzuki Swift back then. And I do remember talking to you and your parents about that. Couldn't believe it, because for people who don't know, the raffle tickets are sold to subsidise some of the finance for your parents to pay for you to go away, which is fantastic. Look, triple jumping is one of those sports that does take a toll on its body, and you've been really good at being able to manage your injuries. But there was a interesting article, which I'm not sure if you read. The title of the article was this. It kind of says it all. Science shows why triple jumpers may be the ultimate Olympians. Did you read that article?
Yeah, I did. I didn't fully read it, but I did read the first intro to it and the title. And when I saw it, I was like, that does sound familiar, because it is such a hard sport and so hard on your body when doing it. That's
right. And they talked a lot about how much, in the cadence in which you move your feet, your speed and your legs, but also by the power by which you hit the ground. And it was something like when a triple jumper is in the hop phase, they hit the ground 6 times their body weight, something ridiculous like that, which is quite phenomenal, and no surprise as to why, some triple jumpers get injury. But looking back on all your competitions, including Team Vic, Oceanas and all that, for you, which one is the most rewarding, or which one stands out as the most rewarding?
I definitely think the Australian record I did last year, and obviously we were talking about it before, the in Cairns on that rainy day. That was my first ever major record, and I wasn't really going into it. I was going into it to get a good jump and obviously do well, get top 3. But the record was in the back of my mind. I wasn't really focusing on that. And then obviously the first jump, it was pretty close, and I was like, I think I might have a chance. And then, I got it, which is, I think that's my most memorable experience. And obviously, as well as Oceania, my first ever international comp wearing the Australian uniform, which is
the green and gold. And I remember when you were told about that, and I was around you at the time, and you were so excited about hearing that. Where did all this start for you? Like, where did triple jump become the thing that you were going to, put your time and energy into?
Yeah. We all started at Western Port Little Athletics when I was 6 years old, and did that up until I think I was 12. And I think my favourite events were triple jump, long jump, and hurdles. And I think one time for a triple jump event at Little Athletics at Western Port, I might have got the record and jumped over 10 metres for the first time, like a Little Ath's record. And I think I really started to enjoy it from there. And then obviously just kept training for the long jump, triple jump and hurdles with Chloe, and just progressed from there, and kept loving the event.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sure that that was all different, but we've got a special guest, an invited guest that's coming on a second. Before Catherine comes on, there was a time though when there was a wrestle, right?
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you about this. I'm not sure if you want to disclose everything, but there was a wrestle between football and this, and I might be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. You were competing amazingly in Team Vic. As a 10, 11 and 12-year-old boy, you were doing great things. But I think in my mind at least, something changed when you made up your mind that football wasn't going to be it and triple jump was going to be it. You just went into a completely different level. Yeah. Tell me about the wrestle between football and triple jump, and how you came to that conclusion, because I've got to admit, there was a time there where I thought, we lost this kid.
Yeah, well, it was definitely a hassle with training between the two comps, with footy and athletics. Even with winter, training for athletics in the winter season, that was prime time for footy. So maybe every week it might have been missed out on a jump session or a sprint session because of footy, and then it was maybe even doing too much when I was younger, doing too much training. And I think it came to the point where before footy training, I was like, I don't really want to train for footy. And I'd be like, I'd much rather be competing for athletics. And I think that was the turning point when I realised, that athletics is a way to go. And then, obviously, with dropping footy, that drops training. So I was able to train more for athletics, which, helped with the results I got.
Big decision back then, and I got to tell you that the heart rate certainly dropped from your coach Chloe after you made that decision, and it was a big decision. But I guess I don't ever have this trouble. You do, that when you're so talented in sport, you're wanted in so many, and you seriously, you could probably take up darts and be the best in the world. So what I think is interesting is that you're doing that. Now we've got Catherine, who's joined us from Middle Park Primary School. Hey, Catherine, how are you?
I'm Catherine.
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
It's great to have you with us, Catherine. Great to have you with us. Now tell me, what's your favourite sport?
Probably running or basketball.
Nice. You got a couple of questions today. So what are your couple of questions for Aiden?
My first one is, what food do you eat before you train and compete?
Now, I've got to say something before you answer this, mate. She's come on the show and she's asked a few people, and 99.9% of them answer a particular item of food. So if you don't get that right, you're going to get a pointed finger from Catherine, I'm sure.
I normally, well, it sort of depends what time, obviously, my event is. If it's early in the morning, I may just have a banana or some cereal, a small bowl,
Yes.
or even some toast. Yeah, not too much, so it stays in your stomach, and then may make you feel sick later on. But yeah, maybe fruit. Cereal.
All right, mate. You mentioned it. You got an A+. It was banana. You're correct. That's right. Okay, let's move to the next question, Catherine.
How has COVID-19 affected your mental health, your fitness, and triple jump?
I think with the COVID, it sort of helped me train harder with that motivation. With the 5K limit, I'm not able to access a track. So for the past 6 weeks, I've been having to train a grass oval, and this not very well designed or very good sand pit that's got all rabbit holes in it. So that has affected my triple jump greatly, because I haven't really been able to train well on that. But I had to do what I did, and maybe push harder, which is hopefully helps with the results.
Yeah.
Great questions, Catherine. Thanks heaps for joining us today.
That's okay.
Thank you.
No worries. Enjoy, and hopefully you get lots more out of the rest of the show. And look, you've touched on a few things there, and the mental aspect is really important. Just coming back to that, wearing the green and gold for the first time, how did you cope? Not necessarily physically, because back then, you still are. You're in great form, so physically it wasn't an issue. But how did you cope mentally with that?
I think, what I did back then was just did the same routine leading up to the event that I would normally do at home. Have a shower before bed, go on my phone for a little bit, and go to sleep at the exact same time as what I would at home. And I think that helped greatly, because I wouldn't be changing my routine significantly, which is in the past affected my sleep. Obviously there's that pressure of doing well. I just try to put that behind me and just try to have a good time, which I did, and that helped. Yeah, that helped greatly.
That's very true. Now, we've got a question that's come in from Pieter Van Pinxteren. Pieter Van Pinxteren is an avid football. He's a staff member at SSV and loves football. He's a boundary umpire as well. Right. And his question is an interesting one. What's the one thing you can't go without in a week leading into a competition or 24 hours before? What's something you have to do?
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't have one thing really that I can't go without, but definitely a banana. I always have to have a banana.
Nice.
Before an event, and definitely keep my fluid up. But got to remember not to overhydrate, which can affect you as well.
Yeah, just a little different spin on this question too. Do you have any idiosyncrasies? Do you have to put your right spike on before your left spike, or do you have any of those little idiosyncrasy things?
I don't like my shoes very loose, so I have to have them tight, which I do in most competitions. I feel like they just make me that they're more connected to my legs. That's one thing I really can't go, is having loose sneakers or spikes.
Very, very good. Now, regarding I know your temperament, you're very laid back, and there's no doubt about that. If there's anything that Aiden Hinson is, he's a very laid back young man, and I love that about you. I think that's an awesome trait. Does that ever get mistaken for a lack of passion in you? Do people ever look at you and go, he's just not excited, but actually deep down you actually are excited, you're just cool, calm, collected?
Yeah, I've had that in the past. I've been asked, once you've done when I've done a big jump before, normally I'm like I'm excited, as you said, but I don't like show it. And then some people have asked me in the past, they're like, were you even excited after that jump? I was like, yeah, I was. I'm just not the type of person to show it. And when I do show it, it's normally just 2 little claps in my hands and a smile.
Well, that's right. I'll say this on your behalf. You're not a show pony and you're not a self-promoter. But if there's anything I do know about you as well, you're very passionate about your sport. You're very passionate about doing well. But I've also seen you get passionate about others doing well as well. I mean, my son's been the recipient of that. But you love it when your competitors around you, even though they're your mates, you're competing against them. Yeah. You love it when they do well. You love it when they break a PB or get a record. And I think that's an amazing trait to have, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we've got Robert Toomey who's joined us as well. Robert, how are you, mate? Robert, we just caught him off guard there. Robert's live from he's from Brighton Grammar. Now, yeah. Robert, what's your question, mate, for Aiden?
What is your weekly training schedule?
Now, due to COVID, it's sprint and gym on a Monday. Tuesday I do Pilates, so like strength and conditioning, and like balance work. Wednesday I do my triple jump, so jumping, and then Thursday I do some more sprints. Friday I do my other gym session, and then Saturday rest day, and then Sunday I have another sprint session. So that's what it's now, but it will change when I get back to training with Chloe, and the normal schedule will start again.
That's a great question, Robert. Before you get to your second question, Robert, what sport do you like, mate?
My favourite sport's golf.
And that's good. What do you love about golf?
That is just yourself, and like you have no one else to blame, and it's just yourself and the course. Like you can't get let down by anyone else. It's just you, and you just practice yourself, and you just work as hard as you want. Like there's no one else pushing you to practice. It's just yourself practicing.
Yeah, that's a very mature answer and very true. Golf is a very individual sport, just like track and field, swimming, cross country. So if you're going to do well, it's up to you to do well. So what's your next? You've got another question here. What's your second part of that question?
How do you prepare for a big event?
Great question.
Obviously hydrate correctly. Drink to thirst, not drink just to scull, and just get the water down you. And just stay obviously calm and collected, and don't put too much pressure on yourself, because that will only hinder your performance. And yeah, just have a good time, really. Just make the most of it.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Hey, thanks for joining us, Robert. We hope you join another show at some point and you get lots more out of this one.
Yeah.
See you, buddy.
Yeah.
Some good answers there. Now, you talked a little bit about drink to hydration or drink to thirst, and keeping hydrated. Is there, a method that you try and stick to in that?
Just having a water bottle on me all like times of the day. And then, whenever I get thirsty, I can, have a sip, have a drink of water. And generally when you have a drink in your hand that you're holding throughout the day, you generally tend to drink more than having to go and get a drink than, doing that.
Well, that's exactly true. And as you would know, dehydration on the day of competition, it's too late. You need to get that water in you beforehand. And we've got another invited guest who's jumped on the show, and her name is Asha. Asha's got some great questions, I'm sure. Asha, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Asha comes from us from Langwarrin Primary School. What sport do you like, Asha?
I like long distance running.
Nice. And what do you like about in terms of long distance? What's a long distance to you?
Well, it's just basically where I like things like 1500 and 800 because I do lots of cross country at school and at school athletics and things like that because I've been doing athletics for a long time. I would just like to ask, how much training do you do for your sport?
It's a great question.
That is a good question. Currently I'm doing 6 days a week. But when competition starts back up and all COVID's gone, we're back to training in the group. I'll be doing, so I'll be training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then obviously compete Saturday and maybe train Sunday or not. Or I'm too sore, just have another rest day.
Oh, yeah. Do you have like special trainers?
Yeah, I have a coach, Chloe, who's been coaching me since a long time, many years, maybe 6 years. So yeah, it's been a long journey.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you.
Chloe's a great coach, Asher. And I'm going to ask a question while you're still here, Asher. In relation to your training, now, Aiden, we've just talked about how laid back you are. There's a big portion of you that likes Aiden time. You know, you like to just chill out, relax. I don't know what you do to relax. It might be game station. It might be reading a book or something. How do you marry that with like training 6 days a week and fighting I need some time by myself? How do you manage all that?
I think, well, I've got a schedule now that allows me to train earlier on in the day. Then I have the rest of the day to recover, and then obviously rest. I play PS4, which chills me out heaps. Get to play with some mates, which is good. And then obviously taking the dog for a walk is even some good chill time. Not overworking yourself and making sure you do take care of your mental health and rest.
Brilliant stuff. Hey, thanks for joining us, Asher. You've asked some great questions, and we hope we get you on the show another time soon.
Okay, thank you.
See you later.
Some great answers there. And look, I wanted to touch on the whole U time because obviously 6 days a week is quite a bit. And I know you've just mentioned that your training is in the morning.
Yeah.
When you go back to school though and have to add 6 or 7 or 8 hours of school back in that plus homework, I don't know how you do it, mate. That's a lot of work. Yeah,
it gets pretty crazy. After the training, that's when my recovery comes in and get to chill out the most. So that's the funnest part of the day, really.
Well, it can be certainly a part that, where you recoup because, recovery is really important in training as well. You can't just be in the gym 24/7. You need an opportunity for your body to recover and allow that strength and conditioning to set in.
Yeah.
Take us through what a typical week would look like. How many gyms? No, and I'm not talking COVID. I'm talking during competition. What a typical week would look like.
A typical week would look like starting off with Monday, we'll have jumps. So I'd either do triple jump or long jump. That might go for an hour and a bit, and then I'll have gym after that. And then Tuesday, I'll go over to, I think 20 minutes away from my house at Pilates, which I have a very nice lady who texts me for that and helps me get ready for the competitions. Wednesday, I have sprints. So that's just a break between the 2 jump sessions. Sprints, we do blocks, sometimes hills, or even, a bit of long distance for the lactic. And then Thursday, have another jump session. And then that's when my second gym session comes in after that. So I'll do jumps, most likely triple jump, and then have a gym session. And then Friday is rest day, preparing for Saturday competition. And then Saturday competition. And then if I'm not too sore after the Saturday competition, I'll have an easy session on Sunday or rest that one out and then, get ready to start for another big week.
And Friday, certainly, I'm sure you look forward to Friday because Friday's a rest day for you.
Yeah.
Have you, if I was to ask you what's the biggest injury you've had to manage through, what would that be?
I think when I changed sneakers from ASICS to Nike, which I shouldn't have done, the Nike sneakers didn't support my type of foot, and that obviously affected a bit in my leg, in my tibialis anterior. So that was on and off going for a couple of months, and had multiple massages to get rid of that and dry needling and cupping. But yeah, that's my main real injury. And then other than that, just niggles in my back, lower back, but no really like big breaks like bones or strains or anything, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, and that's why I asked the question. But it is interesting that the sneakers and the shoes do have an impact on that, and especially what we talked about before, the amount of pressure that you're exerting on your body. Pretty amazing stuff. But obviously, Chloe would help you manage through that. Would help you manage, and I'm imagining Chloe would have helped you discern and work out that it was actually the shoes that were causing this issue. Is that right?
Yeah, that was right. And even a few sessions, Chloe pulled me up when I was training in my Nike sneakers. She would be like, go change into your ASICS sneakers to obviously prevent further damage to my legs. So I'm grateful for that.
She's certainly a remarkable coach, and I love watching her coaching. I've said this to her a million times before. I don't know how she does it, where she'll have a competition and she'll have 5 or 6 boys or girls that are competing at the same time, and she'll give them information to try and beat the other one. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
She certainly does well. We've actually got her on the show right now. Hey, Chloe, how are you?
Hi, Ralph. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. We're just going to have a quick 3-way conversation,
Aiden.
I think.
Yeah, Chloe.
This is our communication now because we haven't seen each other since July, so it's been a bit crazy.
Wow, that must be difficult, because in coaching life, you build such a bond with your athletes. You don't do it because it's for the money, because you don't get paid and stuff, but you do it for the love, and you build such a camaraderie and a bond. How has that been to not physically see each other since July, going from probably seeing each other 4 or 5 times a week?
Yeah, it's been crazy. That's the thing. Your squad becomes your family in a sense, because you spend so much time with them. And I just miss them all so much. And talking on Zoom and things is great, but it's just not the same. So we've made do. We've had weekly squad catch-ups, and we talk all the time and touch base in terms of how the program's going and things, and try and do little bits of video feedback and things, but yeah, it's certainly not the same. So hoping Sunday we might get some good news and potentially get back to the track together at some stage.
Hopefully we hope that certainly happens. Now, we've got a question for you, Chloe, with Aiden here. What are the next steps for Aiden? What are you focusing on next? Because obviously, while you were coaching him through the Team Vic days, the days when students think it's their Olympics and it's their entire life. Now move from that. What's the next focus, without putting pressure on the young man, but what is it that you want to focus on next?
The biggest thing at the end of last season, we obviously had the disappointment of Nationals not going ahead. And it's really tough. You spend the whole season really getting ready for that comp, and everyone was in the same position, but after his success obviously at state, it would have been really fantastic to see what he was capable of. So once we had a bit of a break at the end of last season, we really sat down and did some goal setting. And I think it's really important in terms of that progression to think about what he wants to be working towards as an individual in terms of distances and achievements. And he's hoping to work towards that 1570 mark for his triple jump, and hopefully the 750 for long jump, which would be phenomenal. And I think it's really important to have those individual goals set. It's all good and well to say you want to make these competitions and things like that. And obviously, World Juniors was pushed back this year due to COVID, so he would have the potential to go next year as a bottom age under 20 if he did reach the qualifying standard over to Kenya if that comp does go ahead. But then the following year, when it's in Colombia in 2022, he would be a top age 20, which would be a huge advantage as well. So obviously, those competitions, I guess in a sense, are in the back of our mind and would be fantastic to obviously represent Australia on the bigger stage in terms of World Juniors. It would really be the next step up from Oceanias. But again, in saying that, I think sometimes you can become a little bit caught up in qualifying standards and things like that, and put a little bit too much pressure on yourself. So I think it's really good to have your own goals, what you want to work towards, and then obviously if you're a little bit more relaxed, those results hopefully might come.
That's very good. Now, how do you go setting goals, Aiden? Like, goals isn't normally something that comes to the mind of I'll say this generally, boys in general, but also boys 17. How do you go setting goals and sticking to those goals?
Well, on my wall currently, I've got my schedule, so I know what I'm doing. And then under that, I have a little note that says 1570 goal, which I'm able to look at every time I go out to train, which just helps me push that a little bit harder. And then my other goals are written in a book, which I can look back on during the season, and get reminded of what I'm training for and what I'm hoping to achieve.
So the reminder is important for you, but also looking back and you must look at the 15, 16, that you've done now, and look back to when you were 10 years old and the first competition was in Brisbane, where you jumped. I don't know what you jumped, but it was nowhere near a 15, 16. You must look at that and go, wow, that was great. Yeah,
it's pretty crazy to see how far I've come along with my training and results. I've still got those videos on my phone, so it's good to look back on my technique and just everything I was doing back then, which is pretty surreal, to be honest.
And Chloe, you spend a lot of time going to different events. Now, I know you just mentioned you have squad catch-ups, but just give us an idea of roughly how big this squad is, because it's quite a squad.
Yeah, I'm really lucky to have such a fantastic squad down at Frankston. I probably have a squad of about 40 to 50 athletes. Given that in the week I probably have 30 that train really consistently, and others that come and go depending on other sports and competitions that are upcoming and things like that.
Brilliant stuff. Now, I know you've just touched on 40 or 50. It really is around that mark. And then when you have, say you've got 30 that are training and you've got 30 that are competing in different locations, that is, I look at that and go, I don't know how you manage it, but you do. You are in Canberra, then you are in Sydney, then you come back to maybe Adelaide or Melbourne and you do that. What's the driver for you? What's the thing that makes you want to do really well for your athletes?
I guess I just love seeing them achieve their goals at the end of the day, and I think it's such a big process. You finish one season, you have that break, you start your goal setting, you put in all of this effort over winter, and you see how hard they work, and it's just, there's nothing really more rewarding than when they do reach those targets they've set themselves. And especially with someone like Aiden that I've worked with since he was really young, and looking back at photos the other day, I think I had a photo on the fence with his first state triple jump medal when he was maybe 9 or 10 years of age.
Wow.
And it's just so rewarding, I guess, to come along that journey with an athlete and, see what they're capable of. And I really enjoy, obviously, being at training, but all of the competitions as well. I wouldn't miss them. So.
And look, last question. We talked a little bit just before you joined the show. Aiden and I talked about the wrestle between football and triple jump, and him making the decision that that's it.
Yeah.
How did you cope with that? That period of time where there was an unknown. What were you doing?
It was really tough, actually, because here I had this athlete that was super talented, and in the back of my mind, I've always known what he's capable of. And I guess, as Aiden touched on before, he was trying to spread himself quite thin between the two sports. And that's the thing, he wasn't just playing football at a local level, he was playing it at quite a high level and had extra requirements that went along with that in terms of his training as well. So he was really trying to do both. And during the season, football were quite understanding, so it worked quite well during the actual season that I would get a lot of time with Aiden. However, over the winter months when it's football time, Aiden really wasn't getting a winter. So we'd come around to the summer season again and he'd have these fantastic results. And in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, oh my goodness, imagine if we actually had a winter, what you would be capable of, how much stronger you could be. And after the first winter he did, he had the success that he had in Cairns, in Sydney, and then obviously went over to Perth as well. So it's really shown what a difference that has made as well. I remember the day Aiden told me, he asked if we could have a chat, and my heart sunk because in the back of my mind, he was me thinking, oh my goodness, he's going to tell me he's chosen football. And honestly, I would be happy and support him in whatever he chose to do, but I was really hoping it was athletics. And I remember the day well over at Ringwood after a high velocity meet, and Pieter said, yeah, I'm not really enjoying football as much anymore. I feel like I'm missing out on really important sessions, and I think I'm going to put my time into athletics. And I remember I was so over the moon. I got in the car, I rang my husband, I rang my mum. I thought, oh, it's so exciting what we're actually going to be able to achieve now. So, yeah.
Brilliant stuff. I'm sure that was an exciting time for you. Hey, thanks heaps for joining us, Chloe. Keep up the great work in your coaching with your athletes and at Frankston High School as well. You do a remarkable job, and I'm not just saying that.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. And thank you for having me. And hopefully I'll catch up with you both soon.
Yes, so hopefully.
Yes.
See ya.
Yeah.
She's obviously a great coach and obviously has a lot to offer and has a lot of knowledge that you talked about before. She's not just a teacher. She's actually quite remarkable in knowing the ins and outs of an athlete. Where do you hope to take all of this, Aiden? And again, I don't want to put pressure on you, but where do you hope to get to one day? What's your dream?
Obviously, Olympics would be, such a great achievement, and the highest you can go for athletics. But obviously, all those stepping stones leading up to it. So World Juniors, Worlds, the qualifying for the Olympics. So just basically taking it one by one. And obviously World Juniors is next for me, and then after that, I'll look for what's next, and continuing with that.
Which is exciting stuff. And where did the dream of the Olympics start for you? Like, do you remember a young age when it all sort of formed?
Yeah, I think it was just the surreal experience that's in the stadium when the Olympics is on, and the noise, and watching Kathy Freeman's documentary the other night, and hearing the crowd, and just everyone going crazy over it. It definitely brought goosebumps. It's not just my body, but family's body. It was pretty quiet watching that. After that, just laying in bed, just thinking how cool that would be to experience that. So.
Well, interesting you mentioned the Kathy Freeman. Today is actually the 20-year anniversary of the day she did run that championship, that amazing run, which, you look back on that. I don't think it, you could watch that enough. It's so inspirational and it ticks so many boxes on so many levels. But I will say this, I have no doubt that you're going to get there. I have no doubt that one day you'll be in a position where you'll be representing Australia both in Olympic or a Commonwealth Games or both. And I think it's pretty exciting stuff. And the reason I say that is because I've seen your trajectory right now and just watched how you go. The only thing that would stop you is you stepping away. I think you continuing to do what you do and staying in the gym and listening to Chloe and you've got, we haven't even talked about your parents, but I know your parents. They are super duper supportive of everything you do. And they're right behind you in everything. And I think it's pretty amazing that you've got quite an amazing platform to really influence the sport and influence yourself. And who knows where it'll take you, but I've no doubt it'll be the big name in lights one day will be Aiden Hinson. It looks like we've lost Aiden just for a short, brief moment there. I'm not sure what's happening there. We'll see if he comes back. Hopefully he will. We only had one more question to go, but it seems he has dropped off at the moment. So we'll see if he comes back. Let's just... Nope, he's gone. Look, that's going to finish off our show for today. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, but we hope you tune in next week for another jam-packed show.